Back here, Moto, and today we're going to be working on texturing and actually rendering the can that we've been working on. You guys have been doing a fantastic job building it, and thanks for the patience. I know the videos probably are lengthy, or I'm not sure. I think I try to make them as short as possible so that you could actually have some fun. So in this one, we're just gonna jump right to it. I'm gonna show you the mechanical that was given to me, and then how I brought it into Photoshop and how I managed to get it in here. So with that said, let's just get started. So, okay, let me just tap this again. So this is the mechanical that was given to me, and I was actually thinking of even providing you with this actual mechanical, but I think to make things easier, and if you want it, I'll give it to you to just let me know. What I'm actually gonna do instead is, so you have to take all this stuff out of here. And really it's not that difficult. You just gotta grab everything and then open up documents. It's like all these additional steps, and to make things a little smoother for you, what I wind up doing, I was kind enough to actually show you what I did for you. Here you go. So I actually brought the file into Photoshop, and I actually tweaked it too, because sometimes when these files come in, they come in a little bit too. They production files. They really look really great for when you're gonna go out and print, but for like rendering, or if you're print, like internally, like if you're just gonna do a proof or even rendering, it's actually comes in a little bit bad, like dull, because they prep everything CMYK ready to print, and if you see on screen, it's like washed out. So I give it a little life. I do some bright and contrast and Photoshop. Just, and not all of them are like that, but for the most part, they are kind of like washed out. So you want your map to look, which this is the image map, to look a little bit nicer than it should. So I do a little bit of contrast. I just bring it in so it's a little bit more, a lot nicer. Another thing I do is, like, I know that this gray area here you see all around the art is actually gonna be it has to look metallic on the can. So how do we do that? So what I normally do, either you bring it into different layers, but I bring it high res enough in Photoshop, and for the purpose of this video, what I usually do is I just do a color range. So I go to my wand in Photoshop, and I just select the color. It's an overall gray color that is going to be used as a metallic color. And then I go to image. No. So I gotta go. Okay, so I select it. So go to the wand, select the color, go to select, and then go to color range. And color range is going to allow you to select specific colors. And in this case, I'm just going to separate it by just clicking on the gray. The minute you click on the gray, automatically all that same exact color just pops in on the screen. And I set it up to like 50 to 60 is good. You can move, if you move this, then it starts to move it all the way to the right, just starts to like band and select grays inside of the background, but you just want it to be very minimal, and it's just the areas that are going to be silver. So it's just some of these areas, so that should be good. Like let's just say 60, right? And when you do the selection, automatically a selection appears on screen. So what I wind up doing is adding an additional layer, and I just fill it in black. So once it's filled in black, and you turn the color palette off, everything that you see here in black is going to be printed silver. It's going to be produced silver. So in that case, I just go in, and now I save it as a silver plate. and you know, create a folder, and just put in your silver image, and then label our image. So you have two JPEGs, one for silver and one for the silver. So you see, you already have the silver. I already have the silver saved with a white background. Turn that off, and this I'll save as the RGB art plate. Okay, once that's done, close out of it. It's done. I don't need to save this because I had already saved it. Then I go into Modo, and what I do is in here, if I go to perspective, I'm actually going to go in and select like this circle, you know, the circle opener, the opener, and the lid, and create a, with I'll create a, you know, materials. I'll add a chrome. I'll select a plate, or I'll assign just the top of this to be chrome. So I'll create a material, call it chrome, and then separate it. So you'll be, you know, in here I'll have, you have your chrome plate, which is going to be the lid here. And if you select under the item and the can, the actual can, and if you look at most cans, usually the art or graphics goes from this point, and the, you know, and this part of the can all the way to the top. Is going, this whole top is going to be color, and then the bottom here, from the bottom up to this point, is going to be chrome. So how do you do that? The same deal. So you just basically select a few polygons in the bottom, then just click L, and then grow the selection by shift up, and keep going. And then once you get to the bottom part of this can, say like right there, you stop, and then again select M, and you know, actually add the chrome material. So that way, that part and the lid and everything else on top is going to be chrome, and the can, the rest of the can here is just going to be this is what we'll add the graphics. Okay, so now that we're there, let's cut off the UV. I had already created my UV, so but I'll show you what we here. Front. So here's the can. So you do the reverse on this. What you do is actually you select. Let's just select this one, and, you know, a couple of them on top, and then just do a loop, and then grow the selection. So now we're growing it the other way. So once you get to like the bottom here, again, you stop there, and then you assign a material here, and you call that the can, which I already did. And then once you're in here, like what we're trying to create is the UV so that we could actually assign graphics. So my UV, I assign one and name the graphics and created one. I'll show you now. This part is kind of what is the most important part for like the graphics. So I'll redo this part again. So you just create, where it says new map, just click on it. I'm just gonna call mine graphics 02. Right, and then you go where it says UV projection on the left hand side here. Alright, and you click on this window because you want the UV projection to be cylindrical and on the Y. So when you click, what it does is actually makes this whole entire mesh flat on this end. So watch, see? So you just make sure that it's centered. You just move it right inside of that, the boundary box right here. I'll show you. So, you know, as long as it's like, sometimes when you click on, or anybody, you know, it just might do something like that. You just want to make sure it's right within that square, so that all the graphics align. So in essence, what it's doing is actually opening up the can and making it flat. So now when you create your image, like which I did on that my previously, I already saved those images. I mean, this right now is compact, but when you placed it around, it would just it would just work around the can. Oops, I think I just moved something on this side. Okay, so now that that's created, all you have to do is go back to Modeler, right? And I'm gonna show you right here, like my can, show you the graphics. I'm just gonna show you the material first. So here's my can. We came in. I already assigned the material on the Chrome, and the shader tree tutorial that I gave you, that we reviewed, you could probably use that for color swatches. You could make that Chrome, you could make it a color. Now this cans have different color metallics on the top and bottom, so just refer back to that video to actually assign materials as you like. And then for the can itself, right now I just added it's like almost like a light gray, so it almost look white, but it's just because nothing is ever 100% white. It always has a little bit of a tonality. So I added the diffuse at 50, specularity at 20. I mean, I could turn that off, and reflection at 4, 65 for Fresnel, and then I did some blurry reflections and some clear coat. So then we went in, add the image with the image map as we done before, and then we'll find let me see, I gotta go to my desktop, miscellaneous, FIT, and then see my label art, see it here. So you just open that, and when you open it, it'll come in. Like I just opened it here, here it is, and it'll automatically map into the UV that I created graphics. Another thing you do is that when you bring this image in, sometimes the number, if you go to select the image, texture layer, in the bottom you're gonna see something called gamma. It usually comes in at 1. You put this back on 1, it just looks like washed out or kind of whacked because the color gamma is a little off. So always go in here and go 0.625, and that'll actually give you more of an accuracy on colors. It's just something that I figured out, and through the years it just works. So the next thing we're doing is, remember that this area here that is it's got to be metallic. So that's why we created a black plate with those little black lines and graphics, because that's actually gonna tell this program that that whole area around here is gonna be silver. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing you do, let me just, it's in here already, you have to create a silver plate, right, and just throw it right on top, right? So now I got this silver plate, it's really shiny. Let me just kind of like show you. Yeah, you see it's just like the can. And then I'll bring in the black and white plate that we created with the graphics. You see if I overlap it, see how it's like on top of these things. You see it, it's just like where everything that was black is now, you know, kind of white. So if you drop that inside of that material that we just created, silver, see, it just takes on, I'm not sure how he does it, he just does it. It's just like how the cell phone works, you know, it's one of those things. So here's my silver plate, you know, and it just created a silver plate. And the same thing you could do with everything else. Like if you want this to be a specific color, you could just separate those. So on this end, what I did was I actually created another little bump map slightly. You won't even see it if I show you here. It's just so subtle. And then a little noise so that you could just break apart some of like the stuff that's happening. So there you go. You know, this is actually how you decorate your can. Another thing that I actually want you guys to do, because I have looked at some of your files, and we probably have to review this one more. I think for time being, I just want you to get familiarized with some of the things. But one thing that is important, if you don't have a scene, so you know, it's important for you to have a scene. So let me see, actually let me just move this aside real quick. And see, I actually have a scene, but I need to make sure they are in a scene folder. A scene, you know, we always talked about, like, make sure you have a nice flat, pretty big, you know, like that table, and then the back piece. And the materials that I have for like the background, you know, it's if you look at, let me just bring it up. What's important here is just going to material transparent. You know, in the back you have material diffuse 80. None of this really matters. What I'm looking for is the luminous intensity to be 1, because that actually works as a light, like a light bulb. So it's really bright, and it makes everything in your background look very clean, like how you see it here. And then the floor, you don't have to, you know, just put like a diffuse of 80 and a reflection of 4, and that should be good enough just to kind of make it, you know. Then the background being so bright and white, it just reflects into the floor, and it makes it look like a real clean, you know, white studio background shot. Okay. And once you get to that point, you can set it up to the camera you want, and you just click here on rendering. I usually set this up like 7:9 or 8:10, just so that when you render, you have something that you know will look like big enough for you to review. Okay, so this is pretty much the lesson for that, and I think I'll leave it at that to see how far you get into this. And then if you have any issues, just email me. And I think this is just you just be interested to see how you guys make out, and then I'll help you as you go along if you have any issues with this. Let me know what you do, and please send me your files so that I could review and guide you best, as each and every one of you have individual issues that you know need help. So I just want to make sure I address as needed. All right. Thanks again. Okay. Bye.